Good evening and welcome to All Time Replay, where we relive the biggest moments in sports. I'm your host, Raphael. This is episode number one. I want to take you back in time to November 23rd, Black Friday to be exact. It was Friday after Thanksgiving. I had just turned 12 that year. I love sixth grade so much. I was on my second tour of it. um, this game, the reason why I wanted to talk about this game, which I'm calling Hail Flutie, was because it was my personal first ever experience at a big time college football game. I'll never forget that day. I really wanted to go to the game. I was 12. All my friends were talking about the game. I was at my dad's house because it was a holiday weekend, so I had to spend it with him. Okay. My uncle was a baseball coach at Miami Senior High School. Huge sports junkie. We'll talk about him someday. He put some high school players in the major leagues who had great careers. But my uncle, Rudy, may he rest in peace, um, came by my dad's house and saw that I was bored out of my mind and had tickets for the family to go watch Miami and Boston College and asked my dad if I can go. And I went. So we were sitting in the end zone, the east end zone, the west end zone, which is the only one where had seats at that time. The east end zone was open in the horseshoe of the Orange Bowl, and that's where your scoreboard and your huge speaker were. Later on, they added more seats, but here we are. I'm with my family, the Orange Bowl. It's Friday, no school, holidays. It is raining cats and stinking dogs in the 305 that day, let me tell you. And if you're as old as I am, or remember the game, watching it on TV, because I'm pretty sure the raindrops were falling on TV as well. Well, let me tell you, at the OB, it was falling on us, on me and my family, my uncle, my aunt, and some of his friends. And here I couldn't be any happier. It could have been -0. It could have been snowing at the Orange Bowl, and I was in seventh heaven. Here I am watching the Miami Hurricanes. Little did I know, as a 12-year-old, the significance of this game. I mean, it's 2026, y'all, and I guarantee you that every time Miami plays Boston College, and if I remember correctly, they're in the same conference, and they were in the Big East together. So every time that they've played each other for the last 40 years, the play the last play of the game is always mentioned, obviously. It became an iconic moment in college football. One I'll never forget. I was there for it. As stunned and heartbroken as I was with my family, I mean, my uncle cussed the whole way home. He was not in a good mood after that. But to be fair, that was 1984. That was Jimmy Johnson's first year at the U, just coming over from Oklahoma State, where he had spent some time being Barry Switzer's little brother, getting his butt whooped year in and year out. And 1984 was a wild season. Auburn was ranked preseason number one. Um, they lost to the Hurricanes at they used to call that kickoff classic. It used to be held in the Meadowlands. If you're as old as I am, you remember that. Now the kickoff classic, it used to be, it had gotten moved to the Peach Bowl. A lot of people remember that because Auburn and Clemson played in a lot of kickoff classics in the Peach Bowl. But so there was a lot of things going on in '84. We can't dismiss the fact that at the end of 1984, after all the bowl games have been played, the last man standing was BYU at 13-0. Um, when 2 and 3 lose and tie, the only person undefeated left was Brigham Young University. I've heard that that's the reason why they changed the rules of strength of schedule became really important later on. I don't know, but I remember that. I remember that that was the year that BYU won their one and only national championship. I think it's hilarious that that's a fact that happened in '84. And where do I live now? In Salt Lake City, Utah, about 35 miles north of that university. Hey, no slight on BYU, man. During this time in '84, they were coached by the legendary Lavelle Edwards, man. Hey, that guy was a quarterback making machine now, I'm going to tell you. You know, you think, who else is a good, well, I mean, if you think Nick Saban can, or not Nick Saban, but you think of these coaches that produce quarterbacks, right? Hey, Don Shula produced some good quarterbacks. He had two in the '70s. He had Bob Greasy. He had Earl Morrall. Those guys were great quarterbacks. Part of that 1972 undefeated season, and then in '83, well, in 80, 81, 82, he drafted out of LSU David Woodley, who then lost his career to Dan Marino, and the rest is history. Um, but even these quarterback making coaches, Lavelle Edwards, man, you want to talk about making some quarterbacks, man? You talk about, Robbie Bosco, who was a quarterback in 1984, won the national championship by beating Michigan in the, what was that? What did they used to call the Holiday Bowl at the old Murph in San Diego? Remember that, y'all? These are great memories, man. I'm telling you. This is the reason I wanted to create this podcast, because if I sit around thinking about a lot of these great moments that I've witnessed in sports. And I know that people, my generation, Gen X, and then some of the millennials who lived through some of these great moments in the '90s and early 2000s, man. Hey, we want to share those memories with somebody. I know that I'm not the only one. Unfortunately, it's me, my lovely wife, and our two dogs, and they don't really care to hear about all this sports nonsense. So here we are with all-time replay, and we are reliving the biggest moments in sports. Now, taking you back to this game, incredible game, right? The quarterbacks. Let's talk about the quarterbacks for a second. Miami was the defending national champion. Their quarterback already had a ring from the previous season. '84 was a tough season, though. They found every which way to lose in Miami, unfortunately. But Bernie Kosar, who went on to have a pretty decent NFL career, was the quarterback for Miami. And I mean, he had a stellar game. He set a record for passing for Miami Hurricane quarterbacks at that time. He completed for 447 yards and two touchdown passes. I mean, he was just phenomenal that day. Bernie Kosar, not to be outdone, passed for 472 yards and three touchdown passes, becoming the first major college quarterback to surpass 10,000 yards in a career. I mean, that was incredible. Now, it's been reported that the Heisman Trophy was already voted on by November 23rd. Okay. If I remember correctly, the Heisman used to be awarded somewhere like the second weekend, and it was always at the Athletic Center in New York. But that was already decided at Flutie because he had a great season. Coming into that game, Boston College was ranked number 10th with a record of 9-2, and Miami was ranked 12th with a record of 8-3. They were trying to save their season. But Doug Flutie had an incredible game. Ended up winning the Heisman. This game probably put the put the candle on the cake. You know what I mean? Light it up because this is it. The showing that he had that day, he earned it. There were some all stars. All stars. There were some really incredible players in this game. The Hurricanes had a running back named Melvin Bratton, number 5. This dude had 4 rushing touchdowns. So, takeaways so far. You had 2 quarterbacks who went on to have careers in the NFL, pretty good careers. No defense whatsoever. Guess is what I'm trying to get at, man. They passed for uh, over 900 yards combined. That's insane, and 5 touchdown passes. Um, Gerard Phelan, that name will come up again later. Remember that name. He caught 226 yards. I mean, that's crazy. It was an incredible game. It was wet. It was incredibly wet, man. I mean, we didn't have umbrellas, man. We were sucking it up out there. It was bad. I'm glad I didn't catch a pneumonia. You know how it is. I grew up Gen X to a Cuban home. Oh my goodness. My mother was like, "You gonna catch a pneumonia?" But we were there, and it was incredible. Boston College jumped out to a 14-0 lead in the game. Let me tell you, we were quiet. There wasn't a whole lot of noise going on in that end zone. I will say this though, Miami quickly fired back. Want to say it was start of the third quarter. They were tied at 31 all. Like I said, there was just no defense. It was back and forth all day, and every time we were in the closed end zone, so every time the whichever team had possession that quarter coming towards us, we got to see a lot of action. We didn't have any binoculars, man, and when they were playing towards the east end zone, my goodness, we just had to rely. We didn't have jumbotrons back in 1984. Now you go to a game, a college game. Hell, I've been to Jordan Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama, where they got this ginormous multi-million-dollar jumbotron. If you can't see because you're in the nosebleeds, fortunately, I haven't had that experience at Jordan Hare. But if you're up in the nosebleeds and you can't see, you can watch the whole daggone game on the freaking jumbotron. It's incredible. Well, I tell you, back and forth all day. These quarterbacks were incredible. People can say what they want about Doug Flutie. He had a bad time in Chicago, no doubt. Um, but you know, people forget that he played in the USFL. Excuse me, uh, Canada. Sorry, I had a brain cramp here. Give me a second. Yeah, let's talk about that final poll real quick. 1984. The final poll. Well, actually, let's see here. Yeah, the final poll had Boston. Excuse me, BYU at number one. Where you at, Big Daddy? Hey, you know what? Um, Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie spent about 8 years in Canada. Okay, people talk smack about Doug Flutie. He spent 8 years in Canada, and that's okay because he didn't play for free when he was in Canada. The whole time he was in Canada, he earned $3.9 million. All right, and then he came back to the NFL. And let's remember that Flutie, he resurrected some NFL teams when he came back to the NFL from college. I said he had a rough time in Chicago. Um, I don't think Buddy Ryan. I don't think Buddy Ryan was too excited with that dude. I think the only one that believed in him was Ditka because McMahon, who was the starting quarterback, hell, he nicknamed him Bambi. I don't know if y'all remember that. I mean, he caught all kinds of hell, but he earned respect, man. He won some titles in Canada. Uh, he won every title he won in Canada. He was the MVP for that Grey Cup. I mean, he had a great career. He wasn't a bad quarterback at all. I want to say he played in well into his early 40s, man. Bernie Kosar. Who don't love Bernie? Bernie used to have that crazy. You remember that sidearm, crazy ass pass. Oh man, I remember when we played for Cleveland. Let me tell you, he had a pretty good NFL career. He played for Cleveland, best known for playing for the Cleveland Browns from '85 to '93. He was the quarterback of the Browns for well, depends on which side of the coin you're on, either famous or infamous. If you're a Browns fan, it sucked, ran bad. But he was the quarterback of the Browns when John Elway engineered the drive. I mean, Bernie Kosar's been a part of some pretty big games, pretty good football teams. He did quarterback the Dolphins for a while, but I mean, back up to Dan Marino. I guess it was just a easy paycheck. Marino hardly got hurt. Um, let's see here. Well, when he played when he played for the Cowboys, one season, 1993, that was interesting. He was able to win a Super Bowl, and the only thing he did as a backup to the Cowboys that entire season, listen. Don't quote me on that. He might have come in mop up duty earlier in the season, but in that Super Bowl, Bernie Kosar took a knee to end the game. I love it, man. Can you imagine? He took a knee to end the game. He got hardware. Hey, people ask me, hey, why are you wearing that number 11, man? Cowboys. First of all, I do love the Dallas Cowboys. I know. You ain't gonna tell me, dude. I've been suffering for 30 damn years. But I'm here to tell you. I do have a good memory, as you can see. I do have a good memory. Um, but when I was 10, 11 years old, Danny White wore number 11. And he was a quarterback, starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. He's the one that went on to replace Roger Staubach. Uh, I didn't do a very good job at it because Danny White's career ended in the mid 80s with a broken hand. Never saw him again. And it wasn't until they drafted Troy Aikman that they had any kind of hope. But if you're my age, I mean, you remember watching your team not suck. uh, but back to Hail Flutie. This was an incredible football game to be a part of. Let me tell you something. Even though my family and I were there, we're rooting for the Miami Hurricanes. My uncle, God rest his soul, just an incredible, incredible baseball mind, an incredible baseball coach, manager, coached some greats who went on to have major league careers. Lenny Harris, Rafi Palmeiro, all played high school ball for Rudy Camejo down in Miami. So, um, but I'm telling you, man, it was just an incredible first experience for a 12-year-old boy who loved football. I wasn't allowed to play the game because my mother was pretty strict. Okay, I mean, hell, I got a ponytail. I got long hair now because I'm in my 50s. I couldn't do this when I was growing up in her house. I also couldn't play football, not organized football. Back in the day in Miami, we used to call that optimist football when your mama had to pay like $50 and then you got all this hand me down equipment, but you had to wear a helmet, shoulder pads, and all that. My mama won't have no part of that because, see, to my chagrin, she has witnessed on the TV football players being carted out, paralyzed. That was a wrap. I was allowed to play baseball. I was allowed to, play basketball, but let's be real. I'm a Cuban American kid. I'm only 5'7" now. How tall you think I was when I was 10? I was always a little runt. One day we're gonna have my buddy from the neighborhood back in the early '80s, John Disick. We're gonna have him on the show as a special guest, and he'll remind everyone how short I was. But he'll tell you I was short, but I was pretty fast. I was pretty quick. But I'm telling you, what an experience to say, hey, even though we lost this game, man, we were there. We witnessed it. And it really blew my mind when 10 years later, these two are in the Big East and they're playing each other. And before the game, pregame highlights, guess what? They show the end of this game. That, like 10 years, and here we are, 2026. These two teams play next year. I guarantee you they'll show this this play. It was iconic. And to think that I was there with my family is one of the greatest absolute favorite sports memories that I've ever had, that I ever will have. Do you know the stars that were on that field? Just let's see here, just to name a few. The Hurricanes had guys such as Hurricanes had Bernie Kosar, Melvin Bratton. Their defense had Jerome Brown. God rest his soul. He life was shortened in a wreck, and he passed away. But he was playing for the Eagles at the time, and he was when he died, and just a big name at the University of Miami. Kevin Fagan, legendary Miami Hurricane defensive player. Uh, Tober Bain. I mean, they had some studs in that defense, but just none of them showed up that day. Boston College had a name on that defense you may know, a guy named Bill Romanowski, arguably the dirtiest player in NFL history, who has like 4 Super Bowl rings with multiple. Listen, guy had a great career. He was part of this game. Game had some very, very big names in it, man. Guys that had incredible careers. Melvin Bratton played in the NFL for a little bit, but I mean, let's be real. These guys are lucky if they survive 5 seasons in the NFL. Not everybody's going to turn out to be an Emmett Smith, a Tony Dorsett. Uh, you know what I mean? A Walter Payton, a Barry Sanders. Not everybody's going to turn out to be that way. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That was the day. Blew my mind. How here I am learning about the game of college football, and learning about defenses and remembering what 1983 was like. The Miami Hurricanes that won the national championship against arguably the greatest offensive powerhouse ever assembled by Coach Tom Osborne of Nebraska. That Turner Gill led offense, Mike Rozier, the Heisman Trophy winner that year, Irving Fryer, who was the number one overall pick in 1983, ended up opting for the USFL for a little bit, then played for the New England Patriots. Hey, listen, man. Incredible. Just incredible. So the fourth quarter comes around, and these idiots are back and forth still. Well, with about a minute left in the game, I apologize. With about 28 seconds left in the game, Miami went up 45-41. That was about it. Everybody thought in that stadium. My uncle was high-fiving. Kid, I got the last high five. Nobody knew I was there. Oh, man. At least that's how you feel when you're a kid surrounded by adults at a football game. Trust me, you're the last thing on their mind. But everybody was high fiving. I had a towel. I knew about the terrible towel that Pittsburgh did. And even at a young age, I already knew that. And here I was with my little towel cheering on the Hurricanes. And then Boston College gets the ball at their 20. Now, Boston, so Doug Flutie's brother, Darren, played on the team. I want to say he was either a tight end or receiver, but he had some really good receivers. Phelan caught 226 yards that day. And on this drive, he caught some really good passes that ate up a lot of yardage for Miami. And by the time the clock said 0-6 on it, they were at Miami's 48-yard line. So here they are at midfield, 6 seconds on the clock. We're thinking there's no way in the world Miami's losing this game. They're up 45-41. There's 6 seconds left on the clock. We were pretty confident. The interesting thing about that day was, even though it was cold for Miami, it was raining, it was wet. The people that were there, man. They weren't leaving. That game was so intense, going back and forth, nobody was leaving. Here we are, 6 seconds left. Miami's defense is like, playing that soft zone that they played all day. Obviously, they played it because they gave up so many daggone offensive freaking touchdowns between running the ball, giving up big chunks of yardage to Troy Stratford, Boston College's star running back, giving up huge chunks of yardage in the air. I mean, Doug Flutie was just tearing apart that secondary. But here we are, 6 seconds left. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Last play of the game, we all know what happens. Doug Flutie rolls out, breaks to the right, and just launches a ball that traveled 63 yards through 30-mile-an-hour headwind. There was a defensive back named Daryl Fullen. The rumor on the playground back in the day was that the ball tipped his fingers and landed in Gerard Phelan's hand. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I know one thing. Gerard Phelan caught that ball cleanly behind about 3 Miami Hurricane defenses. There's no way in the world this man should have caught this ball, but he did. He did, and Boston College was victorious that day. Boston College went on to win the Cotton Bowl, and of course, Doug Flutie went on to win the Heisman Trophy. Miami went on to lose. They went on to lose. I want to say it was a Fiesta Bowl. They lost, I believe, 39-37 to UCLA, who had a pretty decent team that year. And Miami just couldn't catch a break. Losing the bowl game to UCLA was just the final nail in that coffin on that season. Now, 85 was a better season for them boys in Coral Gables. It ended horribly. Horribly. If you remember the 85 season down in Miami, you know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. It wasn't pretty. But the game was just incredible. The ramifications of this game, everything that just resulted at the end of this game, the careers that was spun because of this game, the names that were made famous because of this game. How about the Orange Bowl? The Orange Bowl doesn't sit anymore, y'all. I was driving down the 836 East with my children when they were younger. My daughter was a teenager and my son was about 7, 8 years old. We're driving east, headed to the beach, and we're on the 836 in Miami, and we look over by the Northwest 12th exit, and when you look over there in the distance, you used to be able to see the Orange Bowl. And man, if it was a Saturday or a Sunday, if the Dolphins were playing and you're driving by, you could look over there and you could see it's crowded. I used to drive by the Orange Bowl as a little boy, man. Man, just dreaming of what it would be so cool just to play on that field. The Orange Bowl has hosted at least 4 Super Bowls, countless national championships, many of them for their home tenant, the Miami Hurricanes. The Pope spoke at the Orange Bowl in the 80s. The Rolling Stones performed in the Orange Bowl. Yeah, I don't think you understand what a big deal that is to have a concert in the Orange Bowl, a stadium that held 75,000 people. That's just in the stands. Then you go and you put the stage on the field and let people just crowd up. I mean, that's a lot of people, man. That's over 100,000 people to see a concert. The Orange Bowl is an iconic stadium. I was in tears when I saw it no longer stood. And what's in its place now? Some sorry ass dome for a sorry baseball team that nobody gives a rip about. You live in Miami, you love the Braves, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Mets. That's about it, man. Let's get real. You may like the Reds because you're probably in your 80s and you remember the big red machine. Hey, listen, I've loved every minute of sharing this experience with you. My first ever college football experience as a fanatic, 1984, live, sitting in a ungodly, uncomfortable seats, the little orange benches they had at the Orange Bowl. Hey, if you were at this game, I want to hear from you. If you remember watching this game, I want to hear from you. I also want to hear from you, and I want to know what is your great sports moment memory. I've got so many. It's ridiculous how many great sports memories I have. I have a great hockey memory. When I do my hockey episode, my first hockey episode, we're going to talk about it, man. I've seen Hall of Famers, 9 of them in one game. I've had a lot of fun watching sports. I've had a lot of fun reading about sports. I love to talk sports. I love to talk all the great memories. We're going to cover some incredible, incredible sports memories, man. Things that you haven't thought about in 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Hey, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Continue to tune in. Please subscribe. Please like and share. Please tell all your friends about it. I know I am not the only one who loves reliving great sports memories and moments. And there's just been so many of them. We're so fortunate in this country to have sports. It's one of the most unifying things in the world. The first game after 9/11 at Yankee Stadium when George W. Bush threw out the first pitch, man, in the clubhouse, Derek Jeter told him, Mr. President, you better throw a strike, sir. This crowd won't let you live it down. I'll never forget that moment, man. Guess what? President to a strike. Man, we were united that day, though. The crowd went nuts. Sports is amazing. It brings people together. You can have all your differences in the world. Who cares? Not here. This is a safe zone where all we talk is sports and great sports memories. So I'm your host, Raphael. I hope you've enjoyed this segment of All Time Replay, our very first episode. I've had nothing but fun just recapping all this history between this important game, the Miami Hurricanes and Boston College. Uh, so please tune in, and we'll see you soon on All Time Replay.